Back in July last year, I made a video talking about why Star Wars Hunters needs PvE modes, and now that we're several months later without any further details as to whether or not this is going to happen, and the fact that I think launch could just be a few months away, I wanted to revisit this discussion today for you. Before I do get into that though, make sure you are subscribed to the channel with the notification bell turned on to never miss a piece of Star Wars Hunters content. So PvE, for those who don't know, stands for player versus environment. Now this means that you and other online players essentially fight against the game's AI enemies, whereas PvP is player versus player, so you fight against real online players. A good example of PvE in Star Wars games is the co-op mode in Star Wars Battlefront 2, where you and 3 other players push through or defend against in-game bots. Now co-op was a huge hit with fans from the game, because even for PvP players like myself it was a ton of fun, but also for those fans who prefer PvE, it finally gave them something big to actually really enjoy spending time on with this game, instead of being forced to play PvP to have the big Battlefront experience that everyone loves. Now given that Star Wars Hunters is an arena combat game, naturally it will be PvP focused, but that doesn't mean PvE shouldn't happen. Firstly, they could have it so that you can play all of the in-game modes in PvE as well as PvP, which to be fair for most of us soft launch players is what we've actually been doing anyway, so there really is no excuse for this not to be included in the game at some point. Now I really don't expect to see this at launch, which is honestly more than fine, but I do think that PvE is something that they should disclose pretty soon after launch, perhaps in some kind of roadmap. Now I can't talk about PvE without mentioning the Hunters Battle for the Arena novel that came out almost a year ago. Now you might be thinking why that is, but that is because at the very end of the book, Reeve and 3 others enter an arena that opens the door to a Rancor, which they ultimately have to defeat. Now that mode is currently not something that's in the game or has even been teased in-game in any way, but that is honestly such a perfect PvE mode for this game in my opinion, as they could get tons of different big beasts from within Star Wars, which will then allow you and 3 others in a squad to defeat that beast. These beasts could range from the Rancor, a Gorax, an Acklay, and so many other different creatures that you can see in Star Wars, and obviously every creature is different, so naturally they will have their own set of attacks, which means that there will be plenty for us to learn about. And there is also the fact that some hunters might actually work better against different creatures, but also some hunters work better with others, so there is also a lot to learn with that as well, so there's definitely a learning curve with a mode like this. And just from that one PvE mode alone, I think there's just tons of potential, because you could have tons of different maps along with tons of different beasts, and you could have it random so that you can fight a Rancor on Endor and a Gorax on Hoth, for example. So it doesn't have to just be Rancor on Tatooine and Gorax on Endor, for example. So I'm really hoping something like this does happen at some point, and hopefully we will get other PvE modes as the game progresses, because there really is a lot that they can do with PvE that they can't really do for PvP. Personally, I think PvE is an important part of any multiplayer game, because it really opens the door for so many other people to really get involved in the game, but there is also so much that can be done with PvE that cannot be offered with PvP, so my fingers are crossed that Zynga will get it in the game at some point, and I will definitely be asking the devs for it a lot. So if any developer is watching this video and has got this far, then do take this video as a plea for PvE. That is it from me today though guys. Let me know what you think about this in the comments and be sure to subscribe for more. Thank you all very much for watching, and may the force be with you always.